Well, Nick, so what we talked about as part of a feature of our show is to close our show with an on-air live demonstration so that we can, you know, connect the dots in some ways. So what I'd like to do is uh, put my station on the air right here. I'm going to foreground so that I can see my spectrum. So let me describe what we're going to try to do here. Uh, I run an ICOM 7300. I run different rigs at different times, but for our purposes right now, an ICOM 7300, which has attached to it, by way of a modification, uh, a second separate software-defined radio, or SDR, receiver. And that receiver is the RSP Duo. So anybody who's interested in adding or playing with a software-defined radio, one source of really good radio equipment is the SDRPlay company. So if you go to SDRplay.com, you can go to their website and learn about. And the major ham radio vendors, they sell their products, so you can learn more about them. But I chose the RSP Duo, which is an SDR receiver that actually has two receivers in itself. So technically, I have three software-defined radios in line right now as we speak. One is in the 7300, and then there are two receivers that are being used within the Duo, the RSP Duo. So the reason why I do that is because it allows me then to connect with or use my 7300 with third-party software. And one of the pieces of software that I use that is free, that anybody can download and use, and you don't have to use it the way I use it, you can fiddle around with it and use it in other ways, is the SDR Console software program. So that's what we're looking at right here. So SDR Console allows me to see, in this case, my 20-meter band, its spectrum scope off the 7300, and using the dual receive capability of my RSP Duo. And so the reason why I do this is because it gives me an easier to see graphical interface for my spectrum scope. I see the same or a similar version on my 7300 already, but I can port this out and put it online, put it on the air. We can put it into YouTube. I put it into Discord, wherever.
Well, and you get a bunch of
Okay.
other information here too, right? You've got overlays, some kind of annotation. What are all of those annotations?
Great. Yeah. So unlike what is available on the 7300 screen, this shows me a real-time DX cluster. That is, what stations have been spotted at what frequencies. And I actually turned off the feature, but there's a feature that I could turn on. I don't know if I can see it under the view menu easily here. Don't know where I would do that. Band plan. Is that what it is? Yeah, right here. Okay. So if I turn on band plan, this shows me where on the 20-meter band different types of emissions or modes will be found. So right here, FT8 mode fits. There's FT8 going on right here.
Yeah.
And actually over here. Usually it specifies by a color difference. I don't know why. For some reason, I may have changed it. But usually the CW portion down here is like, I don't know, blue. And then the phone SSB sideband portion of the 20-meter band is purple or something. But since I don't need to know, since I've memorized what these are, I turn this off because it just gets in the way of my screen. But I'll leave it on for now. But so this is a DX cluster that shows me the actual stations that are available or doing whatever they're doing. And this green line right here is where my 7300 is right now tuned at 14.285. So that's where my VFO is right now. So if I want to go and see who's talking right there, I can take my mouse and click right there, and sure enough, we will move. And then on my 7300, since I'm off frequency, this person's going to be on actually 207 directly. I can turn the multi knob on my 7300, and in one turn, it takes me right to the beat frequency, right at the 207. So I'm going to unmute here and see who this person is that's talking.
CQ party, Victor Alpha 7 X-ray United, Victor Alpha 7 X-ray uniform.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my amplifier into the operate mode.
Victor Alpha 7 X-ray United.
And I'm pointing this guy's direction.
Again, please. Kilo ending in Bravo again.
I'll get in after this person.
Yeah, so he's actually doing a contact right now, right?
He is. And this is the BC British Columbia QSO party.
Kilo at 6 Hotel Bravo 59 Charlie Papa Germany.
Sorry, I don't know what CPG is. Might be Calgary. I can't hear you. You're muted. I couldn't hear you, Nick.
Am I muted?
You are now. What were you saying?
I think that's just your. Oh, I was just saying that they're just doing a QSO. I don't know anything else about it. Yeah.
Okay. Kilo 7 Papa Whiskey.
Kilo 7 Papa Whiskey 59 Charlie Papa Germany.
Okay, thank you. You're 5'9" into Seattle. What's the exchange you need from me?
Just the 5'9" and your state abbreviation.
Okay, so Washington, Whiskey Alpha. So good copy. Are you in Calgary?
No, I'm a VE7, so I'm in British Columbia. I'm about 500 miles north of Vancouver.
Okay, Roger. Yep. Okay. Well, good luck and thanks for the cue. And 7-3, KK7PW.
Great, no problem. And thanks for the contact. And you get a great signal here. 7 Victor Alpha 7 X-ray uniform. British Columbia QSO party. Gears up.
All right, I'm going to mute this for a second. So I just want to mention that that's a 20-meter contact with the station in British Columbia, 500 miles north of Vancouver, and my hex beam pointed in their direction, and I ran, and that actually, what was that? What was my power out? I don't know how much power I was putting out at the moment. Might have been 500 watts, if that. I don't know. So, in any event, good contact.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And
that was great.
And the whole purpose on his end is to try to make as many contacts to collect points to get the highest score for that QSO party, which is a contest.
Yeah, and which is why that was so short, right? Because sometimes these go on for a while, right? You really get someone that might want to know all about your rig, and they might want to tell you about what the weather is like and all this other stuff too, right?
Exactly. So that was not as much of a rag chew as it was just confirming a contact, short and sweet, and I actually did something that I probably, had I prepared for this, I would have done differently. And that is, I would not have asked him, what does he need from me? Right. For our purposes. Yeah.
Right. Because he's trying to contest, right? I mean, he's trying to do this as quick as possible so that he can win, right?
Yes. So he's very accommodating, and you could tell that from the little bit that we were listening, he wasn't working a pile up. People, there was space and time available for me to.
Yeah, it was super easy for you to get in, right? You didn't have to.
Yeah. But if he were really busy and working real fast, I would not have tried to connect with him without knowing in advance what the exchange would have been. So in this case, if somebody comes across a QSO party, a QSO party, which they usually happen, there's something once a month, different states. Yeah. So you'd want to do a little research.
Do you need to log that somewhere in order for him to get credit? Do you need to basically confirm the...
Yeah, I suppose technically I should, but it's enough for him to know that he made contact with me. And I don't think that their QSO party reviewers need a check log from me to verify that.
Okay.
But it is a good thing to do, to send in a log, however many contacts one makes, so that there is a record in both directions. So let's just try one more, and then we'll wrap it up here. But it's see who else we can work. So I'm going to unmute this.
Are you contact somebody else? Just on the IMD, this is probably the only app they made that actually uses a pair. AF1Z, down from Alaska. Any station anywhere. Thank you.
Kilo 7 Papa Whiskey.
Kilo 7 Papa Whiskey. Got your 5-9. Name here is Jess. Juliet Echo Sierra Hotel.
Hey, Jess. Nice to meet you. Name is Jonathan. I'm in West Seattle, and you're a good 5-9 down here into Seattle. Where are you in Alaska? Over.
Yes, Jonathan, thanks for the 5-9. I'm located up at Kenai Peninsula, about 50, 60 miles south of Anchorage. Over.
Well, that's terrific, and good signal down here. I'm running a hex beam. Running about, I'd say about 800 watts, something like that. And my 7300. And you sound real good down here. How's the weather up there on your end? Is it snowing?
Well, actually, it just let up snowing. We got about 6 to 7 inches last night.
And Nick, you can look them up on QRZ.
15 to 20 below for the past couple weeks. But with
so maybe we can see his profile.
Which is it's a nice reprieve, but sounds like you got a good setup. I'm running a DX Commander antenna and probably about 300 watts.
Oh, that's terrific. And could you just give me your call one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Alpha Lima 1 Zulu.
Great. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's actually, I think maybe what's the temperature? Well, it's 47 degrees here. It's a balmy 47 compared to what you might be having on your end up there. I know it can get a bit colder, but no snow in the forecast for us. Might have some rain come back for tomorrow, but anyway, well, Jess, nice to meet you there, and I'll let you go and work some others. And thanks for the QSO today. Alpha Lima 1 Zulu, KK7 Papa Whiskey 73.
73, Jonathan. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to mute him. So what Nick is showing us is how you can look up on QRZ.com the information about that station. And was there information on the biography?
No, its biography's empty.
Okay. So sometimes there's biography data, but you can at least, bring up a map and you can see the miles. How many miles are between us?
I don't know. Where does it show the mile?
Right to the left there, you'll see the long path and short path.
Oh, yeah. Distance, 1,447 miles. Long path is 23,000 miles.
Yeah. So the short path, in the way in which I'm pointing at them right now, is about 1,500 miles. So, I actually wouldn't need to run as much power as I did. I probably could have gotten them on 50 watts.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did it just because it was on and I can do it. So anyway, well, every month we'll make a point of trying to do some live on air. I think next month I'll call CQ, and instead of hunting around for a contact, I'll be calling CQ and have others come to us, and we'll have some chats and maybe do some other modes. So, anything else, Nick, about this before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, just that, this QSO thing, I think, is one of the most exciting parts of amateur radio. I mean, it's fun. There's a lot of people. You learn a lot. All of the other people everybody I've interacted with has been friendly so far. Sometimes a station won't accept your call, which is fine. Like, they're working hard trying to get Africa, trying to get South America, something like that. And but every time anybody's ever accepted my call, they've been super friendly, helpful. It's great part of the hobby.
Yeah, my hope is that whether it be through this show and what you and I talk about, or other sources, that everybody who's listening in here and is thinking about what they might be able to do with their amateur radio ticket, that they get the motivation to get on HF bands. Partly is because what you just said is that it's a lot of fun and you learn a lot just by mustering the courage to get on the air and see who you can work. Work in Alaska is fun. Working into British Columbia is fun. That just happened to be the direction my antennas pointed.
Yeah.
Right. But the other reason, I think, and this is it doesn't have to be others, but it's for me, is that it's the HF bands where all this action began. It's the historical foundation of amateur radio. And it's not to suggest that having a focus on VHF, UHF, whatever those higher frequency, super high and very high frequency realms may be. It's not to say that there's not value there. There is. You can learn a lot. But that, I hope, does not come at the exception of getting on the HF bands, because the characteristics, the skills, just the whole wherewithal of being able to do that effectively just taps into decades and generations of radio amateurs. And I just think it's a really important feature for people to learn how to get onto the HF bands and to exercise that. So that's why we're going to focus a little bit on doing HF as part of our show, just because it'll make a practical example out of it.
Exactly. Actually demonstrating the tools, demonstrating how they work, the processes, like what is the protocol. Those are things that they're not on the exam.
Right.
So yeah, actually seeing that stuff in action is so helpful.
Right.